Hey, welcome back. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. This week is 5 new meals, and I did them using my new meal planning template. It's a meal rotation of recipes and meals that my family enjoys, and I just used that to do my planning this week. And I'm gonna link this in the description so that you can get one of these too. And there's blank ones as well if you need to fill in the things that your family likes. So anyway, check that out and hope you enjoy the video. So this meal rotation template has, it's divided by types of meat and then meatless dishes. So there's pork and beef and poultry. The first meal I decided to do was chicken noodle soup because we had a rooster that we needed to butcher, and so we had him on the menu. And then I had bought some stuff for white bean soup and never got a chance to make it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that next. And then my son really likes steak, so we haven't had that for a while, so we went ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and do that on Tuesday. And then I was thinking for Wednesday I would do not ham fried rice, but pork fried rice because I did ham fried rice just a few weeks ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then I decided I wanted to do a vegetarian mac and cheese. The same recipe can also have ham in it, but I thought let's just go without meat for another night. And then we're having some people over on Friday, so we're gonna have pizza, and then we're going to a Christmas party on Saturday. So there's our chicken that we cooked all day long in the slow cooker, and I'm just picking out the bones, and then I'm gonna shred up all that meat and get it ready to put in the soup. And I only used about half of the chicken, maybe less than half of the chicken for the soup recipe. For the soup recipe, I just need onions, carrots, garlic, and celery. And I went ahead and used my saute feature on my Instant Pot. And I went and I sauteed all the vegetables first. And then I added some different herbs and seasoning to go in the soup, a good mixture that goes with poultry. And the broth that we got from the slow cooking the chicken, I just added back with some salt and pepper. And then I love to add potatoes to my chicken noodle soup. And then of course I added the noodles and I added the chicken back and boiled that for about 10 minutes and it was ready to eat. We hadn't had this recipe for a while, so it was yummy to have nice warm soup on a cold night. And sorry about my cat meowing. She just really wants to be in the room that I'm in and doesn't like me leaving her out there alone. Anyway, I made a homemade bread to go with, since I was having 2 different kinds of soup this week. I went ahead and made bread, and I thought I would show you how to do it. This is a really easy recipe. It's a no-knead, kind of an artesian bread, and it's really easy. And I linked the recipe down below, but it's just basically flour, salt, water, and yeast. And then you let that rise, and you just take like a ball of it and make your loaf, form kind of an artisan-style loaf. And I had enough dough to do 2, which was perfect. So you just flour it up and slice the top, and then you let it rise a little longer and put it in the oven. And you need to put, what makes it crunchy on the outside is putting water in the oven with it, and it gives it that humidity that it needs. So I put water in the bottom of my oven, and I put the bread on a pizza stone and let that cook up so we could have it with our dinner both those nights. This next soup recipe is a great vegetarian or even vegan recipe. It's super simple but very flavorful. Basically just put my herbs and my garlic into a saucepan to start sauteing. Then I have one of those faucets over my stove, so I added a little water from that, and then some cooking wine. Then you add a few other spices and your beans straight from the can. If you want to do your own beans, that's fine. Just be sure to save some of the liquid from it. And then you add your beans and just let it simmer for a little while. And then this is great garnished with a fresh tomato and some Parmesan cheese. But like I said, if you want to go vegan, you can just omit the cheese, and it goes great with the fresh bread that I made this week. This next meal, you don't have to use a food processor, but if you have a food processor, it sure makes slicing the potatoes a lot easier. I went ahead and sliced it on the thinnest setting on my food processor, and then I rinsed them really well and had them sitting in cold water. Now my daughters helped me with meals this week, so one of my daughters is helping me with this particular meal, and she did a great job sauteing these onions. They look so beautiful. She did such a good job. Anyway, so we add the butter to the pan, then we saute the onions, and then add the flour, and then we're gonna add like a half and half or a whole milk to go with it, and a cream to make the sauce. One trick is you wanna make sure you cook down that flour so you don't have that floury taste. So once the flour is cooked down, then you add your milk. And whisk it really well, get all that flour butter mixture incorporated. And then you can add some cream. We added some salt and pepper. And then we begin adding the shredded sharp cheddar to make that cheddary sauce to put on the potatoes. Once that sauce is smooth, then you can go ahead and put your potatoes in a baking dish and pour that sauce straight over the potatoes and mix it around a little bit, making sure the sauce is kind of coating all the potatoes. I do feel like this was a little sauce heavy. I could have had maybe a couple more potatoes in mine. And then I just had some mixed cheddar cheese, so I put that on top with a few more chives and baked that in the oven until the potatoes were soft. Now for this meal, we went ahead and roasted some asparagus to go with it, and that was simple. I just broke off the kind of the hard part at the end and put some oil and salt on these and threw them in the oven with the potatoes. Now my daughter seasoned up the steaks with just some garlic, salt and pepper, and thyme, I believe. She did a dry rub on the outside. Now you could grill these, but it's winter where I live, so we went ahead and did them in the frying pan. You want to get your frying pan really hot and just sear them on each side. Now if you don't like it rare, you might want to sear it a little longer. But we seared them and then we put them in a baking dish and put them in the oven with the rest of the stuff and just let them kind of cook a little longer that way. And they turned out really, really good. And then these are the potatoes coming out of the oven, looking all gooey and delicious, and our asparagus. And this made for a really yummy meal. Tonight we did pork fried rice, and we also had some dumplings that were pre-made that we just cooked up with it, and I had a bunch of vegetables that I threw together as well to kind of go as a side for the rice and the dumplings. So I fried up the egg first and took that out of the pan, and then I added my cold rice that I had cooked the day before, and I got that all broken up and cooked really well. It takes quite a bit of oil to make sure it doesn't stick. And then I had bought in some barbecued pork from the grocery store, and I cut that up and I put a green onion and my egg back in and mixed that around and fried it up really good. And then towards the very end I added my soy sauce. I don't want to add that too early, otherwise it'll burn in the pan. So you almost want to just turn off the heat and then add it. And here are the vegetables I had in my fridge I wanted to use up. Some cabbage and some carrots and zucchini, a little bit of broccoli. And I thought, hey, let's just cook it up. And my other daughter, she went ahead and added some spices to go with this vegetable stir fry kind of thing. And it turned out pretty tasty. It was a well-rounded Asian-inspired meal that was really good. This also had soy sauce, but it turned out really yummy. The last meal of the week that I had part in making was a kind of a different kind of mac and cheese. It's a family recipe that we've been cooking for years. And it is made with a sour cream and cottage cheese base. And then you add some seasonings. Now it calls for shredded onion, like fresh onion, but I didn't have any onions. I ran out. So I just used onion powder, and I've made it both ways and it's still good either way. I do really like the fresh onion, how potent it is, but this worked. So anyway, you mix this up as a base, and then you add your sharp cheddar, quite a bit, a couple cups of sharp cheddar. And then you're gonna mix your noodles in to this sauce you made up and just dump that into a baking dish. Now you can add ham to this as well. That's what the recipe calls for, but tonight I wanted to just do a vegetarian style. And you don't have to add the breadcrumbs and cheese on top. I just thought that would be kind of a good addition. So you go ahead and bake that for 40 minutes. And then this calls for tomato on the top. And then you cook it a little longer. But like I said, I have a picky family and they won't eat tomatoes. So I only put it on half so I could have the tomatoes. And I think it adds just a really nice flavor to the mac and cheese. And then we had this dill pickle bags mix, which was really good. And it went with it. Thanks so much, you guys, for watching, and I just had a great week cooking, and I hope that some of these are helpful for you, and I hope you have a good week.